Hey, what's up, my friend? So, in today's episode, right, I want to share with you trading for a living, right? The expectations versus reality. Right, I know many of you, right, you want to trade for a living, and the thing is, you do not know what's real and what's not real, right? Because on the internet, people like to blow things up out of proportion, and it's hard, right, to tell whether something is realistic or not. So, in today's episode, I want to share with you some of the expectations versus reality. Number one, you have unlimited earnings potential, right, if you trade for a living. And the answer to that is yes, it's true, but right, there are a few things that you need, right? So let me share with you a story. So back then in my university days, I had the ambition, right, to trade for a living, right? I wanted to be my own boss, have no one to answer to, and stuff like that. So I had about $5,000 in capital, and I borrowed another $5,000 from my parents, right, so that I could trade for a living. That was my plan. And so I had about $10,000 of trading capital, and my thought process at that point in time is that if I were to make 20% each month, right, that's about $2,000, and I believe I can, survive with that amount of money, right? So that's what I did. And guess what? The problem is there are two things. Number one, I didn't have the skill, right, to consistently make 20% every single month. I realized that that wasn't realistic, right? Nobody makes 20% a month consistently, because if you can do that, right, it's only a matter of time before all the entire world's money, right, is in your pocket. So that's not realistic. Number two is that since I know 20% a month is not realistic, right, I think something more realistic, right, is, on a per month basis, right, anywhere between 1 to 5%, right, depending on how much you risk per trade. That is something that is much more closer, right, to reality. And the problem with that is, even if I were to make, let's say, 2 or 3% each month, the amount of money that I make is not enough to sustain my living, because this brings me to point number two, right? The money that I had, right, that $10,000 enough, the $10,000 at that point in time in my trading account isn't enough to trade for a living. Okay, so that was the aha moment for me, right? That is something that I realized, right? And I hope this is something that you can take away as well, right? Yes, you have unlimited earnings potential, but bear in mind, you must have the skill set to make a profit from the markets, and you also, right, need money to make money in this business. Number two, you have freedom, right? As a trader, right? You have the freedom to do anything you want, right? You have the freedom to travel. You have the freedom to pretty much, call the shots. But here's the thing, right? In trading, right, there is a learning process involved. There is a learning curve. Just like, you wanting to be, let's say, a neurosurgeon, right? You have to spend 6 years, right, as an undergraduate studying medicine. Maybe another, 5 years at medical school. And after medical school, you have to, be at residency for another 7 years. And maybe after that, right, after 7 plus 6 plus 5, there's like 18 years. After about 18 years, right, you can call yourself a full-fledged neurosurgeon. And at this point, right, it doesn't mean that you've made it. Now, at this point, right, your yearly earnings, right, might be a pretty decent 6 figures a year. But you'll still need 3, 4, 5 more years, right, to use your savings, right, and grow it into a comfortable nest egg. So let's say you take another 5 years, right, to grow the nest egg for retirement. That's in total, right, 23 years. 23 years, right, in so-called medicine and neurosurgery before you find your freedom. Now, what about trading? Well, most traders think they can take a weekend course, right, and find their freedom after the course, after a seminar. Doesn't make sense, right? If that's the case, right, there won't be any doctors, there won't be any lawyers, there won't be any engineers around. All of us, right, will want to be a trader. Just take a weekend course and you find your freedom. Okay, so yes, trading could lead to financial freedom, right? But it's not a clear path, right? There are numerous, obstacles in your way, right? The learning curve, the amount of capital that you have access to, right? The discipline to be consistent, right? You need to give yourself time, right? This is not a get-rich-quick scheme, right? Neurosurgeon take anywhere about 20 to 25 years before they can find their freedom, right? So think about that. Number three, right? As a trader, right, if you trade for a living, right, you can, set your own working hours, right? Man, I can wake up when I want to. I don't need any alarm clocks, blah, blah, blah. Well, that kind of depends, right? If you're a short-term trader, if you're a day trader, then that really isn't the case. Because let's say you trade the US markets and you happen to be based in Singapore like me, guess what? Your day trading hours in the US markets will be something like, 9, 10 p.m., right, till the next day, 4, 5 a.m., right? I don't think you can actually set your working hours, because you have to follow the markets if you trade the US markets. Or maybe if you trade the Forex markets, right? The Forex markets in Singapore, right? The most volatile hours is during the London session. That's about 3 p.m. to 12 midnight. Those will be your day trading hours if you are a short-term Forex trader. So you can see that you don't necessarily, you're not necessarily able to set your own working hours. You've got to be following where the money is, where the market is. Okay, so don't forget that. And finally, this one over here, right? Trading, right? The markets, right? Is nothing to do with earning a passive income. Trading does not offer you a passive income. Let me explain to you what passive income is, right? Passive income is if you do nothing at all and you still get paid for it, you get money. For example, this YouTube channel of mine, right? I have published like 400 plus videos to date. And if today, right now, I decided to stop publishing videos for, let's say, the next 1 or 2 years, I will still get an income from YouTube each month, right? For the advertising that's on my channel, right? I have no idea how much money, right, I will get for the next 1 year. It's likely to, dwindle down lower and lower, right? But I am pretty certain I will still get money from my existing videos. That is passive income, right? I don't do anything, I get an income. Now, let me ask you, right? If you were to be trading, and if you are not able to place trades for the next 30 days, the next 1 year, will you get profits? Will you get money from the markets? No, right? Of course not, right? Because if you don't trade, there's no money. Well, at the same time, there's no loss as well. But in terms of passive income perspective, right, trading has nothing to do with passive income. Trading is an active thing that you're doing, right? So don't get the wrong idea that trading is passive income. Okay? So with that said, right, I've come towards the end of today's video. I hope you got some insight out of it, right? Expectations versus reality, what trading really entails. Alright? So with that said, I wish you good luck and good trading. I will talk to you soon.